Hello everybody, happy Tuesday. I hope you can hear me because I'm trying something a little bit different today. I'm going to try and give you a postcard tutorial along with my weekly update. So let me get the rest of my technology set up here. Here we go. My weekly update. Ooh, I'm slightly behind. Hold on just one second. Up here. So can you hear me okay? Just let me know. So hello. Hi, let's see if I can get this all done today. I am going to show you how to put together a simple postcard. A lot of people have been asking. I have another postcard tutorial in mind for something a little more complicated. Thank you for letting me know you can hear me. My camera's a little further away right now so you can see my whole working setup. So what I've done today is I've gathered some supplies to make a postcard. What I've gathered is an orphan block. This is left over from a squared away cutie quilt I did. And this is using Jill Finley's Coming Up Roses fabric from Penny Rose Fabrics. So I just sewed, this is pretty much all the fabric that was left over from the entire quilt, and I sewed it into a tiny little block, and I thought it would make a nice postcard. Another thing I did was I pulled out my postcard supply kit, and what this is a stabilizer in envelopes. So I pulled out a piece of stabilizer. This is 5 by 6 inches. I pulled out an envelope from the kit to mail that later. And I also have a 5 by 6 inch piece of white fabric. It's plain old white fabric. I've gathered my postcard cutting tool, kind of hard to see here, but it also goes with, it's on my postcard supply tab on my website. I've gathered a spool of olive trees because this looks like it's about the right color to stitch around the edge of my postcard. So this is my Fabulux olive trees, and it's one of the 700 meter spools rather than one of the big cones. And then for the bobbin, I have Deco Bob, which is an 80 weight polyester. I'm using that in the bobbin. I also have a permanent marker. So are you ready to get started? The first thing I'm going to do is line everything up. And it's all quite approximate because I don't think I want to send my postcard straight. I want to turn it. This is a 16 patch, and I'm going to tip it a bit. And then I'm going to put the stabilizer down on top of the block, knowing that a lot of this is going to be cut off. This is all larger than the postcard is. Then I have my white fabric that I've pre-pressed, and I'm layering that directly over the stabilizer. So I'm trying to see how much of an offset I want on this block. So I'm going to rotate this until I think it's about right. And now I'm going to press it. So the stabilizer is a double-sided fusible Peltex. And I'm ironing it on one side. That's adhering my postcard backing, where I'm going to write, to the stabilizer. And it's kind of adhered this way all through all of the layers. So what I'm going to do is simply press it from the front to make sure it's good and stuck together. I can push my iron aside. Let me get my second computer out of the way. And I'm going to take my postcard, and I'm going to take my postcard centering tool, and I can tip that. I have some room since my stabilizer and my postcard backing are a little bit bigger than the tool. I can rotate it even further to see what size I want this. So I think I'm going to put it right about there. I'm going to hold it down, trim off the extras. Now I haven't quilted anything on this. It's all ready to mail. Let me rotate that around. Trim that off again and the last side. Here's some scraps I can put aside. I usually fill dog beds. I have an inner filling of things that are firmer, and this would go in that inner filling. The outer filling is softer. Now my postcard is offset quite a bit, as you can see, and I'm kind of liking it. What I'm going to do is just give it one last pressing before I go to stitch it. Now I have, Hedwig is my handy quilter 710 machine, and I have that threaded up and ready to go. I'm going to do a wide zigzag stitch from the front. So I'm going to set my machine. I'm going to set, I have to bring my feed dogs up because I was doing some free motion quilting on there. I'm going to take this to 4.5 millimeters wide, and I'm going to take the stitch down to 0.4 stitch length. Hold on, I have to find my foot pedal. So now I'm going to stitch holding the edge, holding the end of my thread so that they don't get all gummed up in underneath my machine. Have you ever had that happen? It's kind of not fun. So I'm going to do a little stitching, and I don't start right at the edge because it can gunk up the back of the postcard. I'm going to stitch around the postcard twice so I don't have to start right at the edge. But the secret that I have for a really nice satin stitched edging is to turn my tension to 0. That means all of my top thread comes out and my bobbin thread is going to be really small. You're mostly going to see an overstitch from the top of the machine, from the top thread, and you're not going to see the bobbin at all. So bear with me. There we go. It's a little thicker, so I'm not letting the feed dogs just do their job. I'm actually giving it a little push so it doesn't get stuck. And I'm stopping at one end, making sure the needle is down on the outside of the postcard. I'm going to pick up my foot, put it back down after I turn the postcard. Let me trim those threads. Put that in my little scrap pile there. Only 6 sides to go, since I do stitch around this twice. Turn the corner again. And stitch to the outside. Have you noticed I haven't cut the thread or pulled any tails from the corners? I'm just letting it go as it wants to because it's going to be just one continuous stitch all the way around. I don't want the knots at each corner. So there, I stitched around all 4 sides the first time. What I'm going to do for the second round is I'm going to make the stitch just a little bit wider to cover all of the first stitch, because I can kind of see through this. So I'm going to make it 5 millimeters wide and take my stitch length down to 0.2, which is as close together as my machine goes. I can't take it down any further. Turn it again. And stitch a wider, closer satin stitch. One. Oh, I'm close to the edge there. That's what I was talking about. Just give that a little bit of help so it doesn't get stuck in the machine. A little more help maybe. Truth in quilting. Those of us who quilt professionally never have any struggles with our quilting. go. Two more sides. I'm going to start down just a little further so I don't have that, that bobble on the end of the corner. There we go. And my last side. Now this time I could stitch off the edge, or I could use I have a button on my machine that if I press it, it's going to make a tack stitch knot. I'm going to press that, let it take a small knot. And pull my postcard out. Before I mail this, I'm going to take a little bit of fray check and put it right on this corner so the thread doesn't start unraveling. But this postcard is ready to go. I can take my permanent marker, I can draw a line down the back, I can write on one side, and then put the postcard addressing over on the other side with a stamp, and it will go right through the mail, just like this. A lot of the postcards that I send, though, I'd rather didn't get stamped and canceled and go through the mail and come out just a little bit worn, if you've ever received mail that just feels a little dirty. So what I've done is I went into my postcard supply kit and I pulled out an envelope. I'm going to stick my postcard in the envelope, peel the little sticky strip on one side, seal it over, and put my stamp here and a little sticker with the address on it here, or put a piece of paper inside with the address. The envelopes are resealable, so I usually put the stamp over it to keep that closed. And this will go right through the mail the way it is. And I like to think that it's a little fun spot for the people who work through the post office, and I know that it's a treat for the people who receive it in the mail. So the only thing left for me to do is to figure out to whom I shall send this. There are a lot of people in the world who could use a little bit of cheer, a little bit of thanks, a little bit of love, and I'm going to send someone this lovely postcard in the mail. That wasn't really that hard, was it? It didn't seem that way to me. Let me see if there's some comments I should answer. So people are saying they can hear me, and you can hear me when demoing. Okay, thank you for that. So thank you for letting me practice. Cindy, yes, I could use your address. Thank you. I wanted to practice to see if I could get my equipment to work together to film a live tutorial for you. So thanks for letting me practice with you. And now I can go on with the rest of my normal Tuesday Facebook Live. It has been an incredibly fun quilting week here at Debbie Brown Quilts World. And a large part of that is because I was at my local county quilt show. My guild is affiliated with a foundation that holds a quilt show every 2 years, and it sponsors a scholarship at our local community college. So the quilt show, the Duchess Heritage Quilt Show, is held at Duchess Community College, and I was there all weekend with my friend Terry Lucas, who was the featured speaker. So we were having fun between classes, and I got to watch her do her demonstrations and her lectures, and I took her classes. So I had a couple fun days at my local quilt show. I had an all-day class yesterday with Terry that was awesome. Let me show you what I made. Sorry, I have my supplies laid out here. So Terry likes to give quilters permission So I knew that she wouldn't mind if I broke the rules. We were supposed to bring plain fabric. So I brought another orphan block. One time I took a bunch of extra pieces from a quilt I had made. These were all the leftovers, and I just sewed them together willy-nilly, kind of like 15 minutes of play from Victoria Finley Woolf. And then I started machine quilting on them. I didn't get to finish this piece yet, but I look forward to doing so. So Terry is going to be teaching local to me again on January 20th at the Quilt Basket. So I can't wait. As soon as they reopen on Wednesday, I'm going to call and get my name on the list so I can be in her class again to look forward to what else she has to teach about machine quilting. So that's one very fun thing I did this weekend. I don't often get to go to my local quilt shows because I'm at a quilt show somewhere else. So it was just a huge treat for me. So let me see, what else is going on that I need to tell you about? Cutie Madness. I haven't updated the website yet, but I did close out last week's Cutie Madness contest. It was Go with the Flow versus Share and Share Alike. And Share and Share Alike did win by a healthy margin. So I've already notified the winner that I will be sending her each of the 2 patterns that competed last week. Hopefully later this afternoon, I will get the new contest up and running. And this is the last contest in the first round of our Cutie Madness contest. What that contest is I design patterns, and they're called cutie patterns. So I took 16 of my cutie patterns and put them in a bracket like March Madness, and you are voting to see which of my patterns is going to be the favorite among quilters. So we've already gone through 14 of the 16 patterns and eliminated 7. The 2 patterns that are up this week are Due North is behind me. It is unquilted, it's still a flimsy. And Tutti Frutti. I don't have a copy of Tutti Frutti in the house, but I do have photographs of previous copies that I've made, so those will go on the website. Check back tonight and or tomorrow with the newsletter. Hopefully I'll get out, and you'll be able to vote. When you vote, you can just pick your favorite of the 2 patterns, and I will pick a random winner from all of the entrants, whether you voted for the winner or not, and you will receive a copy of each of those 2 cutie patterns. Now, if you're just joining me and aren't familiar with the cutie patterns, the cutie pattern line is designed around fat eighths. So every single one of the cutie patterns, including the 16 that I'm competing against each other, all can be made with 1 pack of 16 fat eighths, plus border, background, something like that. The patterns will tell you what else to buy. But these are a great way to showcase fabrics when you have all of those fat eighths that come together and are so beautifully coordinated. You know, the ones that you pet, but you're not sure what you're really going to do with them? Or when you see the packs that come out of the new fabric that you don't want to buy a $400 quilt kit from, but you want to be able to use the new fabric. These are the cutie patterns. Now, as I said, this was left over from Squared Away. Whenever we design the patterns, we try to make sure to use as much of that fabric as possible. This is what was left over. This is it. All of the fabric that was left over from Share and Share Alike. It's a very efficient use of fabric. This quilt behind me is one of the exceptions, because there is a little bit left over. But what's cool about it is the leftovers are cut from the triangles. So once you are done, you have enough triangles to make a small baby quilt. It's not trash that you throw away. It's not scraps to throw away or to burden you. They just get trimmed again and put into a smaller quilt if you choose, which I always do. Especially since I am completely drowning in babies. I have new babies announced or born every week, which is a really good problem to have. So a lot of reason to make quilts. So that's Cutie Madness. And if you want to stay on top of all of that that's going on, please go to my website at debbiebrownquilts.com and sign up for the newsletter. I think it's under the email tab on the left side. Now, I did pull out this little stack of fabric next to me. I also did just tell you that I'm drowning in babies. Again, a very good problem to have. So I just found myself in a big old pile of By the Sea fabric from Riley Blake. If you're going to follow along on Instagram, everything of mine online is Debbie Brown Quilts. So on Instagram or Facebook or anything like that, you may be seeing pictures this week of me putting together a quilt called Go With The Flow using these 16 fat eighths and the 1.5 yard border cut. I am going to make this for a baby quilt because I have tons of baby boys that are out there that are in need of quilts. I'm just sorry, I have all of your comments scrolling closer to me since I can't possibly read in the camera that's all the way over there. So I'll be making this and photographing it and putting online. Go With The Flow was actually last week's loser, but it's still a very nice size quilt for a baby. Let me scroll through the comments and see what else is going on. Oh, Terry says I'm a fun student. And for those who don't follow Terry online, I did describe her yesterday as more fun than E. coli. Yesterday was October 9th, and on October 9th, 4 years ago, I contracted E. coli. It was not one of the high points of my life, but since it was that anniversary, I just needed to make sure Terry knew she was way more fun than E. coli. So hi, I'm glad to see the rest of you here. That's the sewing I'm going to be doing this week. And if I saw you at the local quilt show last week, I made a little bit of a splash there with my shoes. I've been buying some shoes as presents to myself as I'm on a slightly downward weight trajectory. And I already bought the shoes for my next weight loss goal. And they came in really, really fast, but I haven't hit the goal yet. So if you ever need good motivation to do something, I think sitting this pair of shoes on your desk might be a great motivation. I think I have there are two shoes, so I think I should keep one in the kitchen and one in my office to help me and remind me that I need to keep my goal, because I cannot wait to wear this beautiful pair of shoes. Hopefully in time for Houston. So between now and Houston, for those of you who aren't aware, the biggest event in the quilt world in the United States takes place in a couple weeks. It's in Houston, Texas. It's called Quilt Market, and it's where all of the folks from the industry, fabric companies, machine companies, designers, thread companies, just anybody involved in quilting comes together to show their wares. And the customers are quilt shop owners, where they go to see what they're going to be bringing out to you in the next 6 months to a year. So all of us in the industry are working like crazy trying to get everything ready for Houston. I too am doing that. So a lot of what I'm doing, I can't show you. I will reveal it to you in time though. Right after that is Quilt Festival. I will be teaching classes at Quilt Festival. Sadly, they're full. I think there's still room in my Monday night class. It is on micro quilting, but otherwise the rest of the classes have been booked up for a while. But between now and then, this weekend, I'm going to be at Springwater Designs in Columbia, Maryland. I'm going to be teaching 4 different quilting classes on Friday and Saturday. The information, again, it's Springwater Designs, but all of my events are listed on the Events tab on my website at debbiebrownquilts.com. The weekend after that, I'm going to be teaching a 2-day hands-on machine quilting event at the Quilt Basket in Pawling, New York, and that will be a Saturday-Sunday event. That information is either at quiltbasket.com or on my website at the Events tab. So October is a really busy quilting month, which is also a really, really fun month because of quilting. So let me see what's going on here. Oh, Ronnie, I'm glad you joined in. Let's see who else said hi. So Sue, I'll see you this weekend. I'm so excited. I'm getting a bunch of goodies planned for you and have some new samples to show. So I'm very excited to come down there. I really think that's about all I have to tell you today, unless you have any questions. But again, I want to thank you for letting me practice and see how all the equipment with the camera and the tripod and all the lights and everything works together for video, for a tutorial while I'm doing Facebook Live. So maybe I'll do another one in the future. I will be here next Tuesday at 2:30 in the afternoon, and I hope to be doing a lot of quilting and quilting fun between now and then. I hope you do as well. So happy quilting. Keep in touch. You can find me on any social media at debbiebrownquilts.com, including YouTube, and I will talk to you next Tuesday. Thanks for tuning in. Bye. And now I have to get up to turn the camera off.